All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cain Stevens Super Show. I've got another super guest. I've been talking to this guy for a while, off and on, and I'm pretty pumped about it. He's a musician. He's doing a lot of good things. I think he just hit like I don't know. I think he hit like 10,000 followers or something on Facebook here recently, and man, that's a feat in itself. So, with that being said, I think this guy deserves a round of applause. So let's give it up for Luke S. Williams, everybody. All right, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. We're we're on this side of the dirt. That's really all that matters at this point, right?
Every day above ground.
That's right. So I like I said before, you're a musician, but let's kind of dive into that a little bit. I'm getting away from spooky month. I'm a spooky guy. I like spooky stuff all the time, and we can definitely dive into that if you want. But I kind of want to talk about your music and what you're doing. Talk about the bands that you're playing in. Talk about your individual show. So tell me, let's start with like the beginning here, tell me tell the audience where you're from, where you're playing, that type of stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm located in Iowa, in the good old US of A.
Oh yeah.
Is kind of centered around the Midwest right now, branching out. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing music and writing songs for years now. My parents got me into that years ago. So,
Right.
growing up, we couldn't do any video games or nothing without spending some time practicing piano. So, thanks to mom and pop for that.
And it should be that way for all families, if you ask me. I really think like the Chinese got it figured out, at least on one thing. They like force their kids to do music and all this other stuff. I think that all of our kids would benefit from it. And trust me, the video games are there. I mean, video games are dope. Everything's fun to play, but it's like there's nothing like being a musician. I mean, I too am a musician. I've been playing for years. And I keep telling people there's nothing like playing live for people, even if it's one person, even if it's no people, and you're there and you're getting paid to do what you want to do. I mean, there's really nothing like it, man. Don't you agree?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, like, I like that you mentioned like the playing for no people because I'm sure
Yeah.
you've had shows doing that, like where there's like maybe two or three people tops, and
Oh yeah.
but it's so much different than just sitting around in your living room or your basement or whatever, just
Mhm.
jamming out by yourself, even if it is just for the bartender and the sound guy. Like it just it just feels good to be up on that stage knowing, hey, I got to a certain level and I put the work in to get there.
Well, and tell me, tell the audience about what it's like. Let's talk about the musician's experience for a second, because man, we do go through it. I mean, I've had my fair share of flops, so to speak, where people were doing stuff, whatever, they didn't come to the show. Whatever happened. And, you're still a professional. You still go out there, you play. You might be kind of frustrated with the fact that nobody's there, but you put on a good show hoping that they come. What's it like for you? What's it like for you when nobody's there? I mean, do you just kind of go through and just give the bar the show that you would anyways?
Yeah, I believe very strongly in keeping a consistency with your brand. So, I mean, I played a show down in Park Hills Underground, Park Hills,
Mhm.
Missouri. It was a great time, it was a blast, but barely anybody showed up. I was pretty much playing for my friend who came with me, the sound guy, bartender, the owner, and then the few openers.
Right.
But I still gave it my all, man. I mean, I still had an audience. It may have been small, but it was still being up on stage, and so I always try to give it my all. I always try to put on a good show regardless.
Well, the old, bands will always say this when nobody comes. They'll say, "Oh, at least we got a paid practice on our hands," and but that sucks. I know that sometimes you have to work with the bar owners and stuff like that, and sometimes you take your money and run. It's the life of a musician. But you seem to be playing a lot, man. You seem to be really getting out there, and don't kid yourself. That is a feat to reach that 10,000 point like you did, man. Congrats on that. And you seem to be on an upward trajectory. And that's all you got to do, right? You got to keep rolling forward. You got to keep going uphill, down, whatever it takes. Just keep going forward.
Exactly. I was raised with a very strong work ethic, so
Yeah.
I was gonna throw the work in, and I think as long as I keep putting the work in and keep networking like I've been doing,
Right.
those opportunities will open up. Like, I reached out and we were talking, and
Hmm.
you the podcast. And that's how this interview came about. So I
Yeah.
always tell the younger generation and or even just newer artists who are trying to get out, like, Luke, what do I do? Network,
You
talk
network,
to
you talk
people.
to as many people as possible, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And just be cool to people. Like that's half the battle really, is just show people some dignity, respect, be cool to people, show interest in what they're saying. It's like simple stuff that we just got to get back to. And some of these like younger artists, they just don't get it yet. But I think they'll learn, like they'll go through the same cycle we did. I'm sure I was a punk when I was younger, and didn't care about what people said, but
Ain't that the truth?
yeah, for sure, man. So so are you like in the Des Moines area? Is that about where you're? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the 515, the Des Moines.
Okay. See, I was born in Des Moines, and I have family in Iowa, like in Evansdale and all that type of area, Waterloo. But I mean, I never like lived in Des Moines. So I live here in Lincoln. So you're not that far. You're stone's throw away. Hopefully we'll talk somebody into getting you down here, man, to play. That'd be pretty cool.
I'd love to branch out and get over to Lincoln, man. Like, I got some family out that way too, so that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, well we'll see what we can do, man. Hopefully I still have some people who like me. I don't play live anymore. I had some heart issues. I almost died a few years ago, and here I am. So I do pretty much everything online. I record. I go in the studio. I do all this stuff. I do podcasting now. So I mean, I really respect you guys who are still hitting it hard. I wish I could, man, but it's also a rough life too. I mean, that's one thing that people don't understand about being a musician, is it is everything that people would guess it is. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, if you're a drinker, the drinking's there. I certainly filled my share of all that. If you do drugs, they're there too. But the thing is like, man, music is just it's so unbelievable to be able to do it, man. um but so you're also you're in a band too, correct? Like you're doing solo stuff. And what's the name of your band again?
So I do not take credit for this name, but I'm also in a horror punk band called the Miscarriages.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm playing coy for the listener. I already knew the answer to that
I
question,
know you did.
but which I think is an awesome name. If you're offended by that name, please leave this show, and please don't come back. If you,
It's definitely a punk rock name, that's for sure.
yeah. I told my wife tonight, as we were gonna eat dinner, she was like, "Well, who are you interviewing tonight?" And I was telling her, and I was like, he's in a band called the Miscarriages, and she kind of had that what most females will probably do, that glazed over look. But I was like, to me, it makes perfect sense. I mean, that's rock, man. You know. So how's
Well, I
that
mean,
going? Do you guys play a lot of shows with this band?
not a huge amount of shows. I definitely do a lot more with the solo acoustic stuff, but
Yeah.
we get out, we played we got to play at the venue called the Gas Lamp here in Des Moines. It just closed down,
Hmm.
which sucked, but we got to play with a really cool band out of Nashville actually called Stuck Lucky.
Yeah.
So they came through, we jumped on that bill, so we got to play Gaslamp before it closed.
Right on.
Um, we like playing Lefties live music a lot for any of my other Des Moines people or in the area. So
Yeah. Well, what are some weird things that have happened to you? I'm sure you've been through some weird things throughout your playing. What are some of the most embarrassing or some of the weirdest things that have ever happened to you?
I really wish I had some like really crazy horror story or something, or like, oh
Yeah,
my God. Um, I don't know, just the usual hecklers and stuff, I guess. Nothing too crazy, surprisingly.
yeah,
Embarrassing for us. I mean, if you mess up on stage, like your bandmates are looking at you, giving you the death stares. But half the time, the audience is either too drunk or high, or they just
yeah.
don't know the songs yet. So they're just like, oh, this is part of it.
They never
So
really get it. Even in the cover band, like I played in a lot of cover bands over the years, and the funny thing about people is like, especially like chicks, right? When you're playing, they all they care about is like the groove of the song and everything half the time. So now, like I was the singer and the rhythm player, And sure, you get like one guy who knows every lyric to every song, and of course he would tell me I blew it on Sweet Home Alabama. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like we did 5 songs, well, or we did like 50 songs that night, or whatever it is. But it's just like I think maybe I've told this story, maybe I haven't, but I played a gig one time and I didn't use strap locks. Okay, and if you don't use strap locks, musicians out there, this is the cheat code. You got to have them, or you would do what happened to me, which is my guitar fell straight off of me and flat down on the ground, bong in front of everybody. And that was one of the most annoying and embarrassing moments for me. Like if I could have like disappeared into a puddle of nothing at that point, I wish I had. But
That goes. My favorite thing as far as covers go is when you get like, and I'm sure you've done it too. Where you play like a really big hit or something, everyone in the bar knows, and they just start singing louder than you, and you can just shut up and kind of play and just let
yeah.
them sing. It's like, and if you mess up 5 times, they're too busy yelling it back at you, they don't even notice. So
Exactly. That's the best part, and it's especially when you're with a band, it's cool to play with a band because they kind of like you get so used to each other, you can pick up on each other's mess ups and you can like cover them up and you just get real tight. Like that's another thing that a lot of people who aren't musicians will never know what it's like to be in a band. Like I played in 5-piece bands, I played in 3-piece, all this stuff. To me, the ideal band would be a 5-piece myself. I like that. It's not for everybody. I like having the multi guitar players, multiple singers, all that stuff. I mean, what's probably the most ideal band situation for you? How many people do you think?
so I'm terrible with working in a team. Like,
Yeah.
it's not because I'm hard to work with, I don't think, at least. I'm sure the people who might disagree. But for me, it's just I have a long history not being able to rely on other people,
Yeah.
whether it's like promoting or anything in the team element. So I like as small as possible personally. Um, I'm so used to multitasking being a solo artist. So I'm like, as long as I have a drummer and a bass player, I can handle the rest usually.
Yeah.
But there definitely is something to be said for a larger ensemble.
So when you do the solo show, do you kind of do like the strip back acoustic thing? Do you use like a looper? How do you tend to run the show the way you do it?
I just do very, I always say I do it punk rock, and people who don't know the punk rock attitude are like, that doesn't sound punk. You're singing folk and country.
Right.
But by that I just mean stripped down. I care more about how the song makes the people feel,
Yeah.
um, whether or not if it sounds like on the right key or if I'm singing 100% accurate. I'd much rather get some emotion out of people, um, than be like a flawless jazz or metal musician.
Right.
No hate to those genres. I love some good jazz music and some good death metal, but I'd much rather evoke emotion. So it's
Right.
definitely very stripped down. I've played around with looper pedals in the past, but I'm just most comfortable with me and my guitar up there.
Yeah. And that's interesting enough. I mean, a guy just playing guitar and singing is interesting enough, especially for the crowd. There's nothing wrong with that. I always worried like on a solo, just for myself, like I used to like busk a little bit downtown and stuff like that. Was I would worry like, well, what would I do if it's time for a solo or something? You know what I mean? Like, is it not interesting enough? Because it's like when you're playing with one guitar, my worry was always that would it fall off if I started trying to play a little bit of lead or something like that, or would I get off of a? What do you do for beat? Do you just keep yourself on beat just by rhythm alone? Like, oh, you're
Yeah, I just kind of go off of, and I probably should use some sort of metronome or what, but I just kind of go internal. Yeah, just use
yeah,
the rhythm with it. I get what you're saying with like without a looper or full band or a drum kit or cajon or whatever, it
yeah,
definitely can sound almost flat or hollow. I guess if you try to
right.
do some of those lead parts for sure. Um, Definitely, it is definitely one of those challenges being a solo musician.
Well, I'm not I'm not knocking. I think what you're doing is great. And the thing is people love that strip back thing. You know, that like you get the weirdo that comes in the bar and he's like, man, I want to hear something acoustical. And I'm like, you don't even know what that means, dude, but whatever, right? But there you are. I mean, people love the strip back. I mean, the Unplugged series for, MTV was huge and still is to
Oh
this
yeah.
day. So I mean, there's definitely a thing for that. So do you hit bars? I mean, are you playing? I know you're calling yourself the man of many genres, correct? Which I think is cool, man. So are you? So give me an example in the audience of like what type of stuff you're playing. Is it mostly folk and just that type of folk, country, all that type of stuff?
So that name was given to me by a DJ buddy who
Yeah,
DJs karaoke or used to DJ karaoke, and I'd go to his show and I would just, I might do some rap, pull out some country, pull out some heavy metal, do some death screams or whatever.
right.
So he graced me with that name, that nickname, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going with it. So I really, as far as to answer your question, I really like just to go off the crowd. I play at bars, coffee shops, traditional music venues.
Hmm.
Um, if they need someone to jump on, I have no problem opening for a full band or playing with other acoustic players. Um, as far as like genre wise, I throw a little bit of everything. Kind of start off a little mix of country, folk, some punk rock ballads. I
Yeah,
love some Rancid or some Rise Against.
of course.
Uh, but then if the crowd's feeling a certain way, I might lean more into the country vibe. I might lean more into some '80s hits or whatever. I just kind of try to read the room and go with what they're feeling.
Oh yeah. So what do you do aside from music? I mean, are you a weirdo like me? Are you into ghosts and all this stuff? Like what do you do, man?
Man, well, half the reason I started a horror themed punk rock band, I love horror movies. I
Yeah,
love the macabre. I love, I'm right there with you. I love Halloween. I love ghost hunting when I can.
yeah.
We got a few supposedly haunted places around here I've visited, so that's cool. Um,
Well, have
definitely
you
love
been
all
to
that stuff.
Malvern? You've obviously probably been to Malvern and Villisca, right? Have you been to those places yet?
Surprisingly not.
Oh man, I
I
figured
know
like it was
everyone's
like something
shocked.
that everyone in Iowa did, you know? I mean, we come from Nebraska, and it's not that far, but I mean, it's like to me, these are like epic places, right? You got to go at some point.
I like to visit it. I'm almost like hipsterish in my ghost hunting.
Yeah,
Like I don't want to say I avoid them because it's popular, but there's always other cool little stories and ghost
yeah.
stories and supposedly cursed pert places and whatnot that I love to check out too that don't get as much exposure. Um,
Like, what are the good haunted places in Des Moines? Like what are some good oddity places where you can go where there's haunting or supposed stuff happening there?
I know like one place I visited, and I cannot remember which town it is. It's west of Des Moines.
Hmm.
It's called the Devil's Chair. It
Okay.
was out in this graveyard, and supposedly you sit on it, something bad happens. It was kind of cool with some buddies and I one Halloween. Uh, It might have been the weekend before Halloween. It was that time frame. We're like, let's go do some ghost hunting. Let's go check out something creepy.
Yeah.
Um, even just coming across, I mean, this was like long time ago and back before I even used smartphones. Like it was one of my flip phones. So
Yeah.
even just finding the thing was in itself a challenge and kind of cool how we came across like, oh wait, there's the entrance to the graveyard. Back it up. We missed it.
Yeah.
So even that in itself was an adventure. Um, I know one of the covered bridges out near Winterset, Iowa. One of the bridges in Madison County was supposedly haunted, so we went and checked that out.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun.
I've never heard that. That's awesome, man. I mean, that's a beautiful area in general, but to know that it's possibly haunted is definitely good to know for
Oh
guys like
yeah,
us, right?
exactly. And like you said, it is gorgeous out there. So even though we didn't really see anything or get anything documented, it was a nice day. We were out in nature. Can't
Yeah.
complain.
That's half the battle, man. And we had it. I mean, I don't know if you're as old as me. I mean, I'm 41, but we had it different when we were kids. We had to hit up MapQuest and all that stuff. We had to literally look at a map to find some of these haunted locations. We would have to like there's a cemetery close to between Lincoln and Omaha. It's called Ball Cemetery, and you have to go, and it's a family owned one, and I hope they're not going to prosecute me for saying this, but hey, whatever, right? Everybody did it. So we would all like park like a mile or so away, and we would have to, the only way in and the only way out is to go by this house of the people who own this cemetery. And so you would hike in the cornfields, we'd be lugging beers and all sorts of stuff with us, and we never did anything like crazy there. I mean, like I was never one to like desecrate a grave or anything like that. I was like, we were really respectful, except for the fact we were drinking beers at a cemetery. But man, there was some weird stuff that happened there. So I can only imagine, like, but I think now, like the journey that we would have to do, like we had no idea where the hell we were going. We drove some crappy car. We get lost in this cornfield trying to get to it. It's like, man, kids just have it so easy now, don't they? I hate to sound like an old guy, but they really do.
They do, and I agree with that. I keep sounding like that grumpy old man now.
Yeah,
Like, I'm only in my 30s, but
yeah,
I catch myself saying that more and more. Like, damn, these kids got it easy.
they got it too easy, man. They got it all at their disposal. They're like walking robots with their phones. They don't even look up half the time. I
I
can only
will.
imagine. So, since you're a musician, a lot of people want to talk to me about this. What are your feelings on AI? Like, I just saw that I just saw the new Beatles song came out and they finished it with AI. I think that's pretty cool because they took some of the what they had to recorded before and just embellished it and finished it now that they have this. What do you think about it? I mean, are you sitting in a bunker at home, hunkering down in case Skynet comes? How's it going for you?
Well, as far as like the Skynet part of it, my great grandmother, rest her soul, had a great philosophy about death and impending doom. She
Yeah,
always said, if it's your time, it's your time. So
right.
I'm not too worried if Skynet comes knocking. As far as like the doom and gloom of like the music industry, I've had debates with this about my friends, and I've always been of the opinion, regardless of what the computers are doing or what people are doing with computers, there's always going to be the purists out there. You're always going
Mhm.
to have the fans who want real live music uh, with instruments, right? I mean, the comparison I did was even like 10 years ago, with the forthcoming of computers that DJs used, right? Or even, I guess, 20 years ago now,
Right.
um, moving away from vinyl and whatnot. There's always going to be the purist. So I think if people can use AI and technology to make them better at making art, awesome, all for it. Me personally, I'm gonna do my best not to get caught up into it. Maybe in 10 years, I don't know. Maybe I'll join the craze, but I just think there's always gonna be that fan base who doesn't want the AI written stuff and wants the human written and human performed. So I'm not too worried about it.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to look at it. Some of these people are really freaking out about it, because Elon Musk, is they getting on going on Joe Rogan saying all this cryptic stuff. Now, I think Elon Musk is obviously a robot from a different planet. I mean, he has to be. I mean, just listen to the guy. It's like it's so strange the stuff that he says. Like they just had it on Joe Rogan, for the Halloween special. They had him back on. And I don't know if you listen to a lot of podcasts or the Joe Rogan show, but it was another one of those strange things where it's like they're good interviews, but it's like he says so many strange things. It's like he's just pretending to be a human being, right? Or he's a lizard person.
Yeah, one of those lizard people coming out. Him and Zuckerberg both probably.
Well, well, the most interesting thing is he really truly wants to fight Zuckerberg. Like I would love to see that. That's one of the few pay-per-views that I would pay to see is see him maul Zuckerberg, like a celebrity death match type deal.
A
I'd be
real
good
life
with
celebrity death match.
yeah. But no, man, I'm not too worried about AI. I mean, I actually just to try it out on like chat, GBT or whatever. I had them, I plugged in some lyrics that I was having a hard time with, and I couldn't figure out a bridge, and I'm like, I'll just see how this thing works, and I mean, I'll be damned if the thing didn't write a pretty good bridge with some pretty decent lyrics. So I was like, all right, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like I told him what style it was in. I gave him the chords I'm playing. I asked like when I hated what it did, I was like, can you give me something else? And it
Do
does.
better.
Yeah, can you do better? But yeah, I mean, it's nothing I would use, but I found it to be interesting. Like I could see where, and that's just like a small portion. That's not even
Yeah.
anything. I think what people were worried about is that musicians are going to get ripped off on their likeness. You know, like say they don't have their business in order, and somebody really likes what they're doing, but they're like, I don't really need this guy. I can just like use his voice and everything, and just cut him out of it completely. I think people are kind of like worried about that.
I could definitely see that as a fear. And I still do I use AI in other parts of my life, of course, in different artistic, just not with the songwriting. But I could see that fear, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying about there's always going to be the purists. So
Right. I think if you write a song with AI, you just don't say anything, right?
right.
That's
That
probably
was
best.
totally me.
Yeah, that's probably best. Like the worst part would be like, what if the AI wrote the better song than what you had? Like that would be like the absolute slap in the face. To me, that would be worse than them taking over. You know,
Right.
like they take your style and it listens to like what you do, and then it just pumps out this killer song, and you're like, well, damn, that's better than what I got. You know,
I
throw
just give up on music now.
yeah.
Hey there, fellow follicle enthusiasts. We have a sponsor that's about to make your beards go wild with delight. Brace yourselves for the one and only, the elegant Sasquatch. Are you ready to unleash your outer beast?
Cain, I've been waiting for this moment my entire bearded life. But tell me, how can the elegant Sasquatch help us awaken our inner beasts?
Oh, my hairy companion, the elegant Sasquatch has a treasure trove of beard products that will have your whiskers partying like it's the wildest night in the forest. From their aromatic beard oils to their beastly balms and buttery concoctions, they've got everything you need to make your beard sing with joy.
I can almost hear my beard belting out its own rendition of I Will Survive.
Your beard is in for a treat, my friend, and here's the best part. Every single product is handmade with love. Picture this, a team of Sasquatch artisans rocking their aprons and wielding their grooming tools, crafting beard goodies that will blow your mind. It's like a hairy fiesta of craftsmanship.
I can see those Sasquatch artists dancing with their combs and trimmers like they're on a hairy stage.
Absolutely. These bearded maestros pour their heart and soul into every bottle of beard oil, every tin of balm, and every tub of butter. They're like the Michelin-starred chefs of the beard world, creating culinary delights for your facial hair.
My beard is salivating in anticipation.
Well, get ready for your beard to do a happy dance because the elegant Sasquatch has you covered from all angles. Their beard oils will make your whiskers as smooth as a buttery glide. Their balms will sculpt your beard into a masterpiece that would make Da Vinci jealous. Their butters will leave your beard softer than a cloud made of marshmallows, and their washes will cleanse your beard with a scent that's fresher than the waterfalls in the Rockies.
My beard is ready for the bearded revolution.
You can find the Elegant Sasquatch on Instagram and Facebook. They're ready to share their hairy wisdom, showcase their bearded customers, and entertain you with memes that will make your mustache curl with laughter.
I can't wait to join the hairy community and bask in the glory of their bearded memes.
So, folks, get ready to let your beards run wild. Unleash your outer beast and head over to Facebook and Instagram to find the Elegant Sasquatch. Trust me, your beard will thank you, and you'll be the envy of every bearded creature in the virtual forest.
Here's to smelling like a wild creature and embracing your inner Sasquatch.
Cheers to that, my fellow bearded brethren, and stay elegant with the Elegant Sasquatch.
All right, we're back. I don't really feel bad anymore. I'm tired of saying sorry to everybody for announcing my sponsors and letting them kind of do their thing, because without them, there is no us. So, and without you guys, there is no us. So don't get too mad, because we really need you guys around in order to even do the show. So we're back with the man of many genres. We're back with Luke S. Williams, and I think we're gonna get weird together on this this portion of the show. Let's get strange. You know what I mean? So you were telling me before there's a cryptid in Iowa, and I had
There
no
is.
idea. I guess, and I mean, I feel bad because I'm from Iowa, but I don't live in Iowa. So please tell me and the listeners of Nebraska and all around, people listening all over the world, what is the cryptid in Iowa and what's it all about?
Yeah, for sure. Don't feel too bad. I only learned about it a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it's the Van Meter Visitor.
Okay.
Basically, the deal was it was like 1904, 1914. I'm sure someone will correct me on the year, but uh, for like a week, at night there was a big winged creature, had a big old horn on its head. The horn shot light, or reeked of death or whatever, and the townspeople had to deal with it. Eventually, the story goes, they chased it down an old well where they saw another one. They chased them both down the well and they capped the well or mine shaft. It's a mine shaft or a well, but
Right.
yeah, it's a really cool thing. I'm really happy that Iowa has our own cryptid. We actually
Yeah.
have a festival dedicated to it in the city or town of Van Meter in September.
And it's in September, man. So I just missed it, man. So next year I got to go to the Van Meter.
Gotta come.
Dude, that sounds awesome. I can't believe, like, see, we don't have anything cool like that here in Nebraska that I could think of. We don't have a horned creature shooting something out of them or whatever and going down a well. But so, I
No,
mean, what do you make of it, man? I mean, do you think it's a bunch of horse hockey? Do you think it's real?
I try to keep an open mind. Um, that's a little far fetched. I don't know. But the people you meet is really awesome. We got some people at the Hodags or Hodogs from Wisconsin come down for the festival. You got the Bigfoot people from out west coming over.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, I get to meet a bunch of cool people and share stories and have a good time.
Exactly, man. I just talked to I I think as we're talking now, it will already have been run through, but I talked to a guy from Pennsylvania who is like a part of like the I think it's like the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society or whatever, and he hunts Bigfoot, and he sent me some pretty cool stuff like thermal images of like a Bigfoot. Like he sent me like the tracks that they, like I wish you'd send me like the real mold. That'd be really cool, but that's probably not going to happen. But he told me some pretty chilling stories about Bigfoot. I mean, do you buy into all that? I do, man. I think for sure there's got to be Bigfoot out there.
I mean, I buy into Bigfoot a lot more than I buy into the Van Meter Visitor.
Yeah.
Kind of same thing though. I'm kind of a skeptic, but I try to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
I mean, is it possible that there's a giant furry creature walking around? Yeah, I mean, I could see it. Um, I do lean towards the more skeptic side though.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things in our universe we don't know or understand, so
Well,
it's possible.
that footage that's like making its way throughout the internet and is in Colorado. I'm sure you've seen it probably, where they think that like it was a guy shooting from a train or whatever, and you could see like a really good Bigfoot in the distance, and it looked like a massive creature, but it's still like hard to say, and I trust me, I want to believe. I'm a skeptic like yourself on everything, including ghosts. And I mean, I do paranormal investigation and stuff. I
Right.
think you have to remain skeptical,
Mm.
or you're just being kind of you're being a little nutty about it, like let's be a little reasonable, and maybe we can come up with a solution for all this. But why not, right? Why couldn't a massive animal like that, or a smart, maybe it's like a human form type thing, who knows?
Right.
We don't know half the stuff that happened in our history. I mean, honestly, so maybe Bigfoot's just another part of it. Maybe he's like our grandpa or something.
Definitely a possibility.
It is, man.
It's
What a
fun
man!
either way.
I can't wait to look more into the Van Meter Visitor, man. I can't believe it. It sounds like a mixture of like the Mothman and like the Jersey Devil and a couple other things, But that's a wild story. That's pretty sweet. See, Iowa, I don't know. I'm like, I dig Iowa, man. I wish I would live in Iowa, honestly, but it's a hard sell for my wife because she's like a Nebraska girl and all this stuff. So I'd live
That's
there.
fair.
Des Moines a good place. I just have nothing bad to say about it. I'm also an Iowa fan. I don't know if you're like a football fan or not. I don't know if you watch football. A lot of people do. A lot of people don't. I'm a big Hawkeye fan, so I take a lot of crap for that here in town.
I bet you do.
Yeah,
I'm not huge into the college side of things. I'm more of an NFL.
yeah.
Um, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so
Oh,
I
right
got to
on.
root for my Steelers. So, but
Yeah,
definitely more
it's
NFL. But at least
it's
the
a pretty
Hawkeyes
good
got the right
team.
color scheme.
Yeah, exactly. They essentially look exactly like them. Like you could wear a Steelers jersey, like a plain one, and you could just get by with, whatever, right? So, but yeah, I don't know, man. I've always dug college. It is hard in Lincoln to be a Hawkeye fan. I'm not saying Nebraska fans aren't cool. A lot of them are, but I mean, I've been shoulder checked at the grocery store before and stuff on game day, and I have to like double take, like I'm like way bigger than this guy too. You know, I'm like, you really got that type of energy towards me that you're gonna shoulder check me because I have a Hawkeye shirt on? Like, give me a break, bro. But
It blows my mind. Like I've always heard, people say if there was no religion, we wouldn't have war. I call BS on that when we're talking
yeah,
about sports and bars and whatnot.
for
Seeing
sure.
people swaying at each other because some guy who makes 10 times their salary dropped in football or whatever.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'll root for my boys, but I'm definitely not one of those people who's be like, oh, let's brawl, bro.
Well, football's so interesting too because you'll get the guys who never played a single down in their life, but they'll sit there and they will scream and cuss and get mad at the coaching staff or the quarter because they made this play, and it's like you never made the play. Like you didn't even make it through junior high football. What are you talking about?
Exactly. It's like, let's not take it so serious, guys. It's all
Yeah,
good. If you, as my mama always used to say, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it anymore?
yeah, exactly. Um, so I mean, what type of stuff do you listen to? I guess, like, I mean, I always like to ask musicians that because I'm always interested, like, what you guys. I mean, are you since you're the man of many genres, you probably have a lot of things that you listen to. I mean, do you like rap? Do you like it all? I mean, do you listen to classical? I listen to literally everything.
Boy bands, just boy bands. That's
Just
it.
boy band, yeah. That I was hoping that's what you'd say. You know, yeah. There's a
No,
great place for them somewhere in everyone's heart, right?
let's be real. You put bye 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 on at a bar, about 90% people are gonna start singing along. But
Yeah.
no, it really depends on the day and my mood, man. Like I always equate music genres and bands and songs to like being hungry, like
Right.
for food. Like I'm not gonna eat Chinese food all the time. I'm not gonna eat steak all the time. So it really depends on my mood. If some days I'm listening to Lamb of God or Cannibal Corpse. Other days it might be a Rise Against Rancid day. Maybe it's a George Strait, Johnny Cash day. It's just kind of all over the place. It really depends on what my mood is. I mean, if you looked at my liked playlist and whatnot, like just liked songs on Spotify, it jumps from Yo Yo Ma to Green Day, um, to George Strait. So it's like kind of all over the place.
That's the way it should be. You know, the appreciation for all music should be there. You can find something good in everything. I hate the I don't hate them, but I hate the fan that is just into one music and everything sucks. I get it. Like I was that way when I was younger. I would tell like the
Same.
dads that I knew and stuff like, oh yeah, you know, Limp Bizkit rocks and Led Zeppelin sucks and all this stuff. You know, it's like, and I think about like what a stupid thing to say now. I mean, I still dig both of those bands, obviously, but I did it more for a reaction to get it out of them. You know, like there's nothing a dad want you would get madder about than you telling him that Led Zeppelin sucks and that one of these trash in their head a trash band is 1,000 times better. So I don't know. Do you
Yeah.
dig the biscuit? Are you down with Freddie D and the boys?
Kind of like I was saying, back depends on my mood, really. Like
Yeah,
they're definitely not my top 10.
yeah. There are not a lot of people.
um, but I can jam out to some what break stuff or some my way,
Yeah,
the mood's right. I don't mind it. But I find it interesting you said that because I almost wonder if it's a rite of passage as a musician. Because I was such an elitist when I was younger. It was like death metal, it's gotta have a guitar solo. If it doesn't, it sucks. There's a
yeah,
few rare exceptions. And man, looking back now, I kind of cringe. Like, open your mind, bro.
yeah. Expand your mind a little bit. Well, I can remember like going to like we would do house shows and stuff like that, and we would do different things. And or I would go to my friends where they would have house shows. And it was like there was always those guys. If I wore like a Metallica shirt or something like that, I mean, they're so into punk or they're so into metal, they just wanted to like down me the whole time while I was there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're such a fake, you know. And I'm like, that's just what I like. Like, sorry, you're wearing all this, no effects stuff and Rancid, and they're all great too. But I mean, it's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or like, God forbid you call something the wrong subgenre, dealing with those guys. Like, no,
Yeah.
it's not just punk, it's crust punk, or it's not metal, it's blackened symphonic death, new wave metal, or whatever,
Man, I just don't get. Maybe I'm just getting old. I don't get the logos. Please explain to me the cat throwing up logos on all of these death metal bands. Like, what's it all about? Is it like a fu to the man type thing? Because we don't care about how our logo looks. Like, what is it? What's the deal with it? No
I
idea.
honestly have no idea. I never got the logos myself either. Even though some of those bands, like, I was definitely more of a groover as far as the death metal, I guess,
Yeah.
groove metal or whatever type deal. But I don't know. Maybe it's just to be different,
It
which
must be I'm sure there's a good
to be
explanation
different,
for it.
then they all kind of become the same. So it's like
Yeah.
I've always found that interesting about a lot of subcultures too. Like they all want to be different, but then they all end up doing the same thing anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Do what makes you happy.
It's kind of like the guys who are against cliques in school, but then they're a clique against cliques. You know what I mean? It's the same
Exactly.
thing. They're the uncool kids in their eyes, but they're really just they're there with the cool kids too in their own way. So
Yep, exactly.
whatever. I just don't
All
get them,
wearing their
man. I mean,
black t-shirt uniforms.
some of those logos are completely like you cannot read them whatsoever, and so it's almost like a symbol of some sort. So I mean, like I said, maybe I'm just getting old, but maybe throw some Times New Roman on there or something, something super legible, and that could be the new it thing is like make it so legible that it's almost boring, but have like a horrible
Block lettering.
yeah, like Kitten Death or something like that.
I mean, there is something to be said for it, though. It definitely we're talking about it, so I guess it does serve a purpose.
I think it does. So you kids out there who have your sludgy logos, it's time to get with it. You know what I mean? But
Revolt.
I gotta ask other musicians. Like I always wonder, like, am I the only one that thinks I can't be the only one thinking about this all the time?
Even when I was like into the death metal, I mean, I still am into death metal, but like when I was like really into it, I still didn't get the logo thing. So yeah, I don't know.
What about so have you been to a lot of big shows? Were you like did you go to a lot of shows? Like what's the scene like in Des Moines? Did you go to like a lot of smaller shows, massive shows? What was your thing?
Well, like I haven't been on stage other than like karaoke for years. It's been a minute, so
Yeah.
as I like to tell people, I was doing my homework during that time. One year I went to was it 53 shows,
Mm-hmm.
so I tended like one a week plus one to
Yeah.
so it's kind of all over the place. I might go to a punk rock show if I dig the band, check out a local show, maybe I go to like a big venue. I just saw Alice Cooper recently, finally.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll go to a more intimate setting. It really just depends, kind of like I was talking about earlier. What's my mood? Who's coming through? Um, who's playing this weekend? If do I have a show this weekend? As I've been ramping up my show schedule, it gets harder and harder to go and support my other local musicians, which is unfortunate and kind of
Right.
makes me sad. But it just kind of varies for me personally.
Hey, you got to you get busy. You can't. It gets harder and harder to go support everybody. It's not that you don't want to. It's just that you've got things going on too. So, um,
Exactly.
so you talked about being into horror movies. I'm a big horror movie fan. Like what are some of your favorites? Like me, I love slashers. I not only am I wearing a Friday the 13th shirt, but it's kind of like my whole life I've been like obsessed with these movies, and they're so dumb, don't get me wrong, but like what are you into? I'm into slashers, I'm into all horror, but what are you into the most?
I agree. Like, you don't see too many horrors winning any serious awards, I guess. But that's kind of the appeal, I think, personally. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like I'm right there with you. I love a little bit of everything. My ultimate favorite currently is the what country is he from? Is it Argentinian, I believe? Movie Terrified. It's on.
Oh, a
It's like only on
Terrifier, right?
Shudder.
Yeah.
No, Terrified.
Oh, Terrified? Oh, really? No, I
Yeah,
haven't seen that.
you gotta look it up. If it's on Shudder, I think is the only place you can watch it. But I love what impresses me about a horror movie, knowing that so many rely on gore and jump scares,
Yeah.
is when it's got, and there's some violence in this one, but it's not like over the top, Um, the horror movies that I really love are the ones that creep me out without the jump scares and without all the gore. And I love those things. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but the ones that really impress me, it's like you are genuinely making my skin crawl without that stuff. So I think that is a true testament to like a fantastic horror writer or director,
Yeah.
uh, being able to get under your skin without the usual cheap ways.
Well, we just got out of spooky month where, I mean, for guys like us, we watch them all year long. We watch them all the time. But, there's definitely a plethora of new ones that have come out and everything. I'm excited about the Thanksgiving one that's going to be coming out, that's supposed to be pretty good. I don't know. I get excited about the dumbest stuff. I personally, I don't know if it's religious paranoia or whatever growing up, but the severe like possession ones like really get me, man. Like I don't know, man. It gets me feeling weird every time I watch it.
So that movie I mentioned, and I forgot his name. Internet, don't hate me. But
Yeah.
the gentleman who directed Terrified, he just released another movie, and I went and watched it just because his name was attached to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how much I love that movie. I just watched it last night. It was fantastic, talking about possession and whatnot. It was When Evil Lives or When Evil Speaks or something. I forget the name, which is horrible of me. But man, you talk about like those possession films. It was good. It wasn't as good as Terrified,
Yeah.
but it was still good and creepy. Dealing with the possessions and trying to exorcise the demon and whatnot. And
Yeah. That stuff's intense, man. It's like it just for me, it scares the crap out of me. Yeah, it's like because I'm also into like learning about like paranormal history and all that stuff.
yeah,
And it's like if you are to believe in that stuff, then to these people it's very real. And so like
right,
when I'll get people who will tell me about their house being haunted or whatever, they'll tell some real stuff. And I mean, they believe it in their heart. They're terrified of this
right.
stuff. They're talking about getting scratched, you hit, growls, punch, all this stuff. And it's like, to me, that's the most terrifying is like the real life stuff. Like, I'm not worried about, the zombie apocalypse happening and, blood squirting everywhere. I'm more worried about, I don't know, maybe it's just like religious, like I said, religious paranoia, superstition, what have you. But that's the stuff that terrifies me. I watched the, what was it? It was the Ed and Lorraine Warren documentary. Did you see that one?
I didn't watch the
Go on
documentary,
trial.
but I didn't watch the documentary, but I do love the Conjuring series based on
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
which is fantastic. And the devil made me do it. And oh
yeah,
my God, that is, I'm right there with you. Like I was raised like that and I still have my beliefs and whatnot. But so there's definitely some or twinge of religious paranoia for sure.
right.
Um, but no, I didn't realize they released a documentary about it. I'll have to check it out.
You have to check, and it's really scary because like it they have like the actual tapes of like when the kid was possessed and all this stuff and the things that to me is the most terrifying. Like I might as well be checking my shorts right after that. Like I was not in the headspace to watch it the day that I watched it. And I usually don't get like scared or anything, but man, it just creeped me out as soon as I started hearing all that stuff. It was just the real life thing once again. The fact of if you believe in that stuff, especially in the paranormal, if you believe in this and that, you can't kind of like pick and choose what you want to.
Right.
You just know that it's there. The good is there and the bad is there too.
Right. Even if you like have even just like a borderline, hey, this could be a thing.
Yeah.
If it could be a thing, then these other things, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm right there with you.
Well, my mom's always warning me about it. My mom's terrified because I'm doing this stuff, and she's always warning me that I'm probably bringing bad things to myself and everything. And I don't know. I mean, I don't really look at it that way. I tell, because like I'll use a spirit box and all that stuff, and I'm not even for sure that it's even doing anything half the time. But that's the whole point, right? It's just giving whatever's there an opportunity to talk. And you do get responses from time to time, and it's interesting. But me being the skeptic, I'm always like the boner killer of the group, like everybody's excited about something happening. And then I'm like, but that could have just happened because of this. Like you need somebody like that in the group. Otherwise, everyone's just running around going, oh, yeah, everything's haunted. But you can explain what 90, I'll say 95% of the time things can be explained. I'd say that 5% is what keeps us all doing it. I mean, have you ever been interested enough? Have you ever been on like a true ghost hunt with like instruments and all that type of thing?
Not quite there yet. Maybe in the next few years or months I'll invest and start doing some stuff like that. But right now just going, checking it out.
That's the way to go. That's the fun way to do it, is just kind of back to the basics, go there, feel the place out, listen to the place. I like the history of, I'm a nerd, so I like going there and just like taking in the scene, like like you said, like the bridges of Madison County and all that type of Winterset or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, that's just in itself would be a great hunt. Just it doesn't even matter if anything happens. It's just the experience of walking around in those areas.
Exactly. Just listening to your intuition, your gut, kind of opening yourself emotionally, like,
Yeah.
ooh.
So I was gonna hit you with I kind of a cleaner version. I try not to get too it is a podcast. It doesn't matter what people say. I try not to get too dirty, on things, but I was gonna hit you with the kiss, kill, and marry, with some things, but I don't know if you're interested in any of that. I mean, if you are, I'll just throw it out there for you. So if you had to kiss, kill, or marry these people, just for fun, right? You tell me. So, and this has nothing to do with political belief or anything. There's some names that came to my mind right away. So I got Roseanne Barr. Okay, we all know Roseanne. She's got her merits. I got Joe Biden. If you had to, you never know, right? I don't want to plant it in your head, but if you had to kiss him, maybe you would, right? And then and then I'll put an easy one in there, like maybe you like Taylor Swift or something. So out of those three, what do you think? What are you thinking on Kiss, Kill, or Marry?
Oh God. I'm sure even just joking about it, if you were to say killing the sitting president, you probably have the feds at your door.
Well, yeah, you can send them to my door since I planted it in your head. So if you're listening out there, and everything, we don't mean anything by any of this. We're just kind of kidding around, but don't go storming his door. You're welcome to kick mine open. We ain't doing nothing wrong.
I don't know. That's a hard one, man. Like, there's no denying Taylor Swift is a pretty gal, but oh my God, she's annoying, isn't she?
She's annoying. That's the caveat of it, isn't it?
Especially if you're a Chiefs fan, man. Being in Iowa, I have some friends who are Kansas City Chiefs fans, and they're just like, oh my God, we're tired of hearing about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I don't know, that is a rough one.
I hit you with a tough three, tougher than you thought.
It did. Oh man, couldn't give me an easy one. Well, I know Taylor Swift definitely would not be Mary. That's process of elimination. She would just be too annoying, I think. Inevitably to end in divorce, and I'd be the subject of one of her songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With the masses.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be canceled by the Swifties, man. My 10,000 Facebook followers. Bye.
When she breaks up with Kelsey, then they'll move on from you quickly. They'll be so angry at him. They might even burn his house down.
That's true.
Yeah.
Kelsey messed up already, bro. I'm already feeling the heat. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if I had to choose gun to my head, kiss Taylor Swift, just because I don't want to go to jail, kill Roseanne Barr, and because I like being sensational once in a while, I'd marry Joe Biden. I'd be the first lady.
Yes, that's perfect. The answer is perfect.
All the power.
Yeah, exactly. You want to avoid going to jail, obviously, but hey, it might have its merits in marrying Joe Biden. I mean, the guy's rich. He's like I said, this is not a political narrative. I hate getting into like true political discussions with people, but I mean, he might be all right, I guess. Who knows?
As his mental stability goes, I have more control over the finger on the button. So
Exactly. So, and sorry, Roseanne. We like you, we like the show, but somebody had to take the fall on this deal, and you were the one.
exactly.
Yeah, I
I didn't
really
want the
doubt
Swifties
Roseanne will
after
be
me.
on my show anyway, so I don't have to worry about.
I didn't want the Swifties after me, man. They went after Ticketmaster, and holy crap, I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're like they're the cancel culture too. That's the sad part, like all the Swifties are also the ones canceling everyone. So,
Right.
Lord forbid she do something horrible in their eyes, because she will
Oh my
she will
gosh.
she will
Yeah.
receive a hell like no one else has in all of existence. I'm willing to bet.
Oh my God. You're not wrong.
Well, let's give you an opportunity here to since it is getting closer to the end of the show. Please promote anything you'd like to do. Talk about upcoming shows. This one should come out within the next few weeks of the interview here, so it won't be too long. So it's not like
Okay.
this will come out in like February or something.
Okay, so next few weeks, let me think. So, my Christmas single did just drop with industry standard. I dropped it a few months before, month and a half or so before Christmas. So Luke S. Williams on all the streaming. It's called This Christmas Gift of Mine. It was really cool because it was a different venture. Normally, I got like that punk, folk, indie vibe going on. This was more poppy, piano driven. So let me tell you, we did a lot of takes on this one. Next single after that, I'm gonna be dropping a song that I love. It reminds me of a '90s country song as far as vocals go, called "When I Was Somebody." So keep an eye out for those on the Spotify's and iTunes and all that. My EP will be dropping shortly after I release that single. Shows coming up. You said a few weeks, so that probably put us about a week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So weekend of Thanksgiving, I'll be at Murph and Mary's in Newton, Iowa. I'll be playing a show there. That's all on my Facebook. Facebook is Luke S. Williams, the man of many genres. Give me a follow. That's the only big stuff I got coming up so far. 2024, I'm looking forward to ramping up with trying to book some festival shows and just booking a heck of a lot more shows and putting more music out for y'all.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a perfect segue. I really do appreciate you coming on the show. You've been a great guest. I hope to have you on again soon. And just good luck to you, man. You're doing it. You're doing what you got to do. You're networking. You're playing a lot of gigs. You're doing everything you need to do. So you're going to get to where you want to go in no time.
Cool. I appreciate it, brother. And I appreciate you having me on the show. I've had a lot of fun.
Of course, man. Well, I wish we had a longer time, but I don't want to take up any more of your time here. And I really do appreciate it, man. So look out for Luke S. Williams, the man of many genres, which is, hey, you got to stick with that, man. It's an awesome nickname, And just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep smiling, keep having fun, and we'll see you on the other side. All right.
Cool. Appreciate it, bro.
Yep. Take care.